Hello everybody, welcome back. How you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing great. I hope you're doing good as well. Today we have a very fun video that is something I've been wanting to do for kind of a long time. I just didn't know how I wanted to execute it. I didn't know how I wanted to film and do it. So I finally figured it out. And here you go. So hopefully you enjoy. Today we have kind of more of a talking kind of video, which is something I haven't done in a while, but I hope you guys enjoy it nonetheless. Today we're gonna be talking about alternative style. Not just the style itself, but a few things. We're gonna be talking about how to be alternative on a budget, which honestly is very important right now because shit is expensive. I get asked all the time about how I got into being alternative, where I get my clothes from, kind of just everything surrounding my style and you know, who I am and shit. So I do get a lot of questions about it, and I thought it would be fun to kind of address it all in like one video. And to people who have been wanting to get into the subculture and wanting to get into this style, a kind of friendly guide of how to get there and how to achieve an alternative style on a budget. I know with the rise of social media and TikTok especially, it is very common to see a lot of people flexing and showing off their shopping hauls and all their alternative wear, and typically it can get very expensive. Good quality alternative brands generally are just expensive. I'm gonna be kind of showing you guys the ins and outs of how I personally dress like this, how I'm able to afford to dress like this, and even if you're new to the subculture, how to get into dressing alternative. If that sounds cool, stick around. I'm kind of breaking up this video into a few different categories. So the first category will be makeup. Everything surrounding alternative makeup, how to get the alternative makeup look. The second category is going to be hair. Alternatives, cheap ways to do cool hair. Number 3 is outfits, styling, clothes. And 4, which is arguably, in my opinion, the most important category out of everything, is attitude. So jumping straight into the video, we have section number 1, which is makeup. And look, makeup can get like really f***ing expensive for literally no reason at all. And I don't think it needs to be expensive. As somebody who hates to spend money on makeup, I have honestly learned some great products that are very cheap and very worth it and are amazing products. So I'm gonna kind of cut away for a minute because I actually do my makeup on camera with you guys to show you some of my favorite products and how to get a good basic alternative makeup look for very cheap. Hello everybody. So we're gonna be talking makeup for this portion of the video. And okay, first of all, let me address the hair. I haven't done my hair yet, so it looks kind of crazy. We'll get to that in a second. We're not at that step yet. We're at makeup. I was just gonna show you some of my favorite cheap beauty products and like cheap makeup products and do my makeup with you to kind of show you how I do my makeup. I truly don't really understand spending a lot of money on makeup, especially when there's so many good cheap products out there. And honestly, a lot of my favorite beauty products are very cheap. And I'm not just using them because they're cheap, I'm using them because they're genuinely good products. So I probably won't do my entire routine because you guys have seen me do my makeup a million times. And if you wanna go see that video, I'll link in the description of like my everyday makeup tutorial, I guess. I'm not really a primer girl. I don't really use primer. I pretty much only use sunscreen. I feel like everybody's makeup routine and the products they'd like to use is very different. I'm just showing you kind of what I like to use. I'm not doing a tutorial because everybody has different techniques and likes to do their makeup different ways, but I'm just gonna do a very like basic alternative makeup look that pretty much anybody could do. I'm really just gonna do like the main basics of what I deem as alternative makeup. I'm gonna start my makeup with a very, very white base. I definitely get a lot of my inspiration from makeup from goth makeup, and I know what you may be thinking, you do not do goth makeup at all. You're right, but with my eye looks, I really focus on like really white eyes. I like my base on my eyes to be damn near white. You also see that a lot of times in drag makeup, which I love. I love when it's just like a very white base. And honestly, I think the contrast between adding like the white and then the black on top is beautiful. This step is very much optional. So for this, I just used the e.l.f. Camo Concealer. I think this is the lightest shade you can get in that concealer, but a good alternative if you're not using this one, because this one is a little on the more expensive side, I really suggest checking out LA Colors. They have very cheap concealers, and they sell a pure white concealer, which honestly would work so well for the eyes if you want a really bright white makeup look as your base. You can also get very light colors as well as just pure white. I also like to do my makeup like this because it kind of hides the stubble or like the 5 o'clock shadow that I'll get from my eyebrows. Now, a step that I wouldn't skip, I use a white eyeshadow. This is just an Ulta single. They're like $9, a little bit on the expensive side, but honestly, they're so good. They're so worth it. I really suggest getting something like this rather than an entire makeup palette, because personally, a lot of the times makeup palettes only have like a handful of colors that I'll actually use rather than just buying a single and I know I'll use this entire pan. This does actually last me quite a while too, and I feel like it's just so good for blending out black makeup and just kind of like setting everything in place for like eyeshadow wise. If you don't have access to an Ulta and you can't buy white Ulta singles, you can also buy them online, and a lot of the times they're actually on sale online, so I would definitely check that out first if the shipping isn't too much. But another good little hack if you also cannot find white eyeshadow is just to use like a very bright pressed powder. The Maybelline Fit Me powders are really good. I know, again, a little bit more on the expensive side, but again, that will last you so long. And really the concealer is just to like help it stick a little bit better. For today, we're gonna be doing eyeliner because I feel like that's the easiest thing to do when you're on a budget and you can't spend a lot of money on brushes or other products. Like eyeliner is honestly the simplest thing to use. It just takes practice, okay? And it's kind of like a one-stop shop. You can just buy eyeliner and call it a day. My favorite eyeliner of all time is the Essence eyeliner. This is the Essence Super Precise eyeliner. It is literally like $5 and they do sell it at Ulta. I don't know if it's at Walmart, but you can definitely buy it online at Ulta or on Essence. I cannot suggest this more. It is the best eyeliner. It is so cheap. It's literally $5. It doesn't crease. It's super matte. It is seriously the best eyeliner ever. I cannot suggest it more. Now, when I do my eyeliner, I kind of just like slap it on there and just build. So I kind of take it right at my base, like this, kind of right at the base of my eye, just to get a feel of using it. And then I make the wing and connect it to the front. I will say eyeliner definitely takes time to perfect. It's not gonna be like you pick it up and immediately know how to do it like this. It takes a lot of time to like get it down and see what works best for your eye shape. I do suggest if you want to just like practice, go to the dollar store, get some shitty eyeliner, some dollar eyeliner, and just practice and just keep practicing till you find a shape that you like. Eyeliner is done. I got a little trigger happy, okay? That's what happens when you're doing eyeliner. You start small and then you end up like this. But you know, I think any eyeliner works. I think this looks great. So let's continue. To keep the focus also on the eyes for a little longer, my favorite lashes of all time are literally the cheapest thing ever. They're from the dollar store. They're Ione lashes. You can buy these at the dollar store, or you can also buy them online in like a giant pack of like 30 of them, and they're like 30, 40 bucks, I think, for the entire pack. These are a little bit harder to find. So if you can't find them, I really suggest checking out a beauty supply store. They always have tons of lashes, and they pretty much range from like $2 to $5 per set of lash. But I will say, I don't even think lashes are necessarily essential to getting an alternative makeup look. So lashes are definitely not mandatory, but personally, when I do eyeliner, I like to use them because they kind of make my eyes look bigger, which I like. Now, mascara, again, doesn't really matter because basically your entire eyelashes are covered by the eyeliner. I just want to take a second to show you how insanely good this eyeliner is. I'm going to get super close up on the camera. There's absolutely no creases. It's so matte. It's so black. It's not streaky at all. And it's $5. Now moving on to kind of more of a base makeup, I'm gonna do my makeup a little bit differently, but I will also put up products that are comparable and cheaper in price. I use the Maybelline Age Rewind concealer, but again, LA Colors has great concealers for very cheap. And now for contour, personally I use the e.l.f. Halo Glow. Again, I also don't feel like contour is super important for alternative makeup. I personally just like to do it, but again, I don't think it's like a necessity. I feel like sometimes even just having kind of like a ghastly appearance is kind of the look. I just do it to add the slightest bit of warmth to my face, just on my cheekbones for a little bit, sometimes a little bit on my nose and my chin. I will say this is probably one of the best contours I have used. As somebody who's very fair, it doesn't make me orange. It is very neutral, which I really like because I've always had a hard time finding a contour for my skin tone because everything just looks very orange on me. This is not like that at all, which I love. I'm not gonna be doing blush because honestly, I feel like a lot of alternative makeup doesn't need blush, but you can find blush for very cheap at the dollar store, all that kind of stuff. I don't think blush is something that you need to go buy a good product for because it's literally just powder. These are with the lashes on. Again, you can barely see them because of how giant my eyeliner is today. For the sake of the video, I'm also going to be skipping eyebrows because again, I just don't feel like they're super essential. Depending on what kind of look you're going for, I just think that like having no eyebrows kind of automatically makes you look a little alternative and kind of weird and different. So for the sake of the video, I'm going to be skipping eyebrows, going straight into powder. Now for powder, if you do end up using the concealer and the wet products, I do suggest using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus powder. It's very cheap. It's one of my favorite powders of all time. It is so matte. It lasts all day. I pretty much set in my entire face. I like to be very matte. I'm not a dewy girl. I like to be very matte. I like my makeup to look very seamless and flawless. Here are the vibes. I look scary, but honestly, that's the point. That's the point. For more eyeliner, today I'm going to be using this e.l.f. eyeliner that I have, but honestly, I don't suggest it. It's not great. What I do suggest though is going to, again, a beauty supply store. They have some of the best eyeliners for your waterline. I feel like this is also very important to find good and cheap because you will go through this a lot if you do your makeup every day, especially if you don't want big eyeliner like this. Real shit, you could go and buy just a good eyeliner pen, put it in your waterline, put it on your lid, and just smudge it, and that's perfect alternative makeup. I'm just gonna be lining my waterline, obviously, because I have this going on. Now, going back to mascara, I feel like this part is very important. I take my black mascara and do my bottom lashes. My tip for this is to be a little messy with it. Don't be afraid to get it on your skin. That's kind of the point. There we go. That's what they're looking like. And now I'm gonna wipe the powder off and we're gonna do lips. I do feel like lips are, again, kind of important, especially if you have just like the eyeliner. You have to have something to like balance it out at the bottom. My favorite lip liner pretty much of all time, this is the NYX Line Loud lip liner. This shit lasts all day. It is $8, a little bit more on the expensive side, but I truly think this is probably one of the best lip liners on the market. It literally lasts all day. I could not suggest something more. This shit is awesome. But if you want to go a little bit cheaper, I do suggest checking out beauty supply stores. That's kind of solely where I used to buy all my lip products at, because beauty supply stores honestly have insanely good makeup for so cheap. And honestly, most of the time you can find it cheaper than the dollar store. Like sometimes it'll literally be $1 or 50 cents. For the sake of the video, I am going to be using this, but some examples of stuff I've gotten from beauty supply stores is this eyeliner slash lip liner. It's Ruby Kisses. This is also really, really good. It's very, very opaque and it lasts literally all day. I'll show you kind of on my hand right here. Look how opaque that is. And that was just like a very soft swipe. So I do suggest always checking your beauty supply store and seeing what they have before going and buying a product like this, even though I do really love this and I do suggest it. I do suggest getting a brown or darker lip liner. Your lipstick doesn't necessarily have to be dark, but if you do find a lip liner that is dark, you can pretty much make any lipstick work. I honestly feel like lip liner is more important than the lipstick itself. You can make anything work with the right lip liner. So here is what the lip liner looks like. Honestly, if you don't even have lipstick, just putting chapstick on the inner corner of your lips also could work. There's nothing wrong with that. Personally, I'm gonna be using this lipstick that I got from Essence. I've never tried this before, but it's like $5, so we're gonna try it and see if it's good. I'll put like a little disclaimer on the screen to say if it worked or not. Here is the final makeup look. Very, very cute, very slay. So let's get back to the video. Welcome back already. Oh my god, I missed you guys. Jumping right into section number 2, we have hair. Now, you automatically look at me and think, wow, she probably spent a lot of money on her hair. Not at all. Actually, not at all. Truly, I don't think that you need to spend a lot of money on doing your hair. I think one of the main roots to being alternative is DIY and doing stuff yourself. I've pretty much done my own hair my whole life. Of course, there's a few exceptions in there, but I've really learned how I like my hair and how I like to do my hair and kind of just how I like to play around with it. I do think it's important if you want to dive more into like the alternative subculture to learn how to do your hair yourself. You will save so much money doing it like that. Of course, hair products can get so insanely expensive after bleach and dye and all of that, but I do feel like there are some really, really good alternatives out there. The first one I'm gonna be talking about doesn't involve hair dye at all. Basically, it's just focusing more on your hair cut rather than the color. I do feel like there are so many cool alternative haircuts out there, even like this, but with just brown hair, I feel like would be super cool. And of course, I'll be showing some cool ones on screen that I think are very cool, and obviously don't involve any hair dye, so I feel like they're pretty accessible and easy to do. I do suggest getting a good pair of scissors and a blade to actually cut your hair. Personally, for me, I always find that the blade works better, and to get it kind of just more choppier and crazy looking, I prefer to cut my hair with like a face razor or even just a razor if you feel comfortable doing that. I don't. But personally, I think face razors work just fine, or even just like eyebrow razors. That's what I use. That's what I prefer to use. The second thing I'm going to be talking about is including a dye. And I do suggest if you do want to dye your hair, you don't have to do anything super, super crazy to come across as alternative. I think the basis is honestly black hair dye. Anybody can do this. It's super simple. You can buy it at Walmart for like 10 bucks. Very accessible and very easy to do. And even pairing like the black hair dye with a cool haircut, I think works very well. And that kind of moves us over to the third point that I was going to bring out, was hair dye. So again, hair dye can be very, very expensive, but honestly, I feel like there's some really good brands out there, like lesser known brands that are very, very good. Personally, I use LUNAR Tides, and I do have a discount code for it. If you do want to save a little bit of money, I'll put it on screen. It's Jupers15, and I'll also put it in the description. I love their hair dye. That's personally what I use. But honestly, I would check out beauty supply stores, because I feel like most of the time when you think about dyeing your hair, you're immediately gonna go to Sally's or Amazon or something like that. I have seen the exact same bleach that I use at Sally's at a beauty supply store for half the price. half the price. So go check out your local beauty supply stores, because most times they will have cheaper hair dye and cheaper bleach to do it for a cheaper price. I will say it gets expensive, but even if you were to buy just like a tub of bleach and some developer and doing some cool like raccoon tails, or even like blocking off your hair and doing some like cool bleach dyes with just like a black or a brown base, I feel like also just gives off that vibe. I feel like it's less of the color and more what you actually do with your hair. I feel like there's so many cool haircuts out there to just experiment with, and that will come across as alternative. And even like vice versa, if you do have a really cool color hair, I feel like you could have more of a basic hairstyle and it will still come across as alternative. But I do think the base starts at doing it yourself. I feel like you just need to learn what you like and how to do your hair yourself. There's so many tutorials on YouTube of how to cut hair and how to cut alternative hair, and just as much as dyeing. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there on how to bleach your hair, how to dye your hair, and all that kind of stuff. So I do suggest trying to do it yourself or just having a friend help you. Honestly, if you want a whole video on how specifically I do my hair, I could do that. Don't think I have that on my channel. I have like videos of me dyeing my hair but not actually bleaching it and showing you that. So if you want that video, let me know. I can bring it to you. Moving on to the third section of the video, which is clothing. I'm just gonna put a little trigger warning, a little disclaimer. I feel like I might get a lot of hate for what I'm about to say, but honestly, I stand on my shit and I don't think anything will change my mind about this. So if you don't agree, I'm sorry. That's what makes us human, and it's okay to not agree with everything I say. And again, that's what makes us human, to have different opinions about things. Going back to what I said about the root of any alternative subculture is DIY. And let me talk about this. I truly don't believe anybody should be shopping on Shein or Temu or any of that. I really don't think that is ethical, and I really don't believe it's alternative, to be honest. Again, I know I'm gonna get hate, so I'm trying to choose my words very appropriately. I just don't think it's very alternative, and let me explain. I don't want to come across as gatekeeping or elitist or anything like that. So I'm just gonna lay out how I feel about it and then explain to you some other options that I would suggest. So the reason why I don't think shopping there is very alternative, truly because it is so unethical. I think that if I can do one thing, one small thing to help the environment and even just help people's lives in general, is to not shop there. The reason why I don't think it's alternative is because I think that being alternative is not just a style. I don't think it's just what your music is. I don't think it's just a style. I think it's your life, and I think it's also how you choose to present yourself and your personality as well, and your values and your beliefs. And I don't think that really aligns with alternative beliefs, in my opinion. So before anybody comes at me for this take, let me explain and let me give you some different alternatives. Please let me explain. I know that comes across very, very harsh, but I do have my reasonings and I do have alternatives for you to check out. So getting into my reasonings for this is, I think the first reason for me is that it is just very unethical, and these clothes are being super, super mass produced to the point where they're making thousands and thousands and thousands of garments a day. First of all, nobody is going to wear all of that, so think about that, and then think about everything that's being wasted. Not only that, but think about all the things that are being wasted and all the hard work these people put into making the clothes. I don't know, doesn't sit right with me. Textile waste is such a huge problem for, honestly, the world. It's kind of disgusting when you actually look into it. Brands like Shein and Temu and just fast fashion brands in general, even like mall brands like Forever 21, that's fast fashion. Any of that, their turnover rate for clothes is insane. Because of the continuing trend cycle They try to find what's working, mass produce it, and then move on and throw all the shit out. I seriously suggest looking into that. Over 92 million tons of textile goes to waste every single year. Tons. 92 million tons. I'm not gonna go on my high horse. I'm just gonna keep on. My third reasoning for not shopping fast fashion and not supporting Shein and Temu is because those clothes are just not made to last. 99% of those clothes are made out of polyester, and if you don't know, polyester is just a fancy word for plastic. It is literally just plastic clothes. The difference between clothes from the 2000s, 90s, 80s, and even 70s is that they were made with so much better quality, and that's why they're still here, and that's why we're still able to wear them and enjoy them, because they're made with such good quality. If you do buy from Shein, you'll realize that those clothes do not last very long. They are made so cheaply and so poorly that even if you wash it wrong, they will be destroyed. And I think it's just super important to do your research and find out why it's not ethical and why it's very wrong to do. And I also get the flip side of that, of wanting to be alternative and just playing around with your style. And so you're like, oh, well, let me go on Shein and just buy a bunch of clothes and I can experiment. There's so many other ways to do that and not support fast fashion. And I'll get into that in a second, so please stick around. I promise I'll give you alternatives. I'm not just talking shit and not giving you any solutions. I will give you some solutions. I also think it's important to note that you don't have to spend a ton of money on dressing alternative. And I think it's very prevalent nowadays, especially when you see on TikTok all these alternative people and just like the new demonias they're buying, the new trip pants they're buying. But what I'm saying is that you don't have to fit a mold to be alternative. And I feel like with the rise of TikTok, you're really seeing a mold for alternative people and a way alternative people should look. And I think that defeats the entire purpose of it. And that's why I kind of almost say like people wear it as a costume and they're not being genuine about it. Because I think being dripped out head to toe in just lip service and trip and all of these like insanely sought after alternative brands kind of defeats the purpose. And that even goes back into the 90s when mall goth was very prevalent. And mall goth back in the day, most of the time they were seen as posers. And I'm saying that, and look, don't f***ing come for me for using that word. I'm not calling you a poser. I'm saying back in the day, they were seen as posers because they would just go to Hot Topic and go to the mall and buy a bunch of clothes and have the look, but not stand on their shit and not stand on their values. And I feel like that's also so prevalent today, that you see these people online and you see these people on especially TikTok, that it's a mold. You have to have these new trip pants, you have to have these new demonias, or you're not alternative. And I just feel like that literally could not be farther from the truth. I think that the boiled down aesthetic that has become very prevalent nowadays, that is associated with alternative style, is honestly kind of very toxic. A lot of the times you'll see those same people bullying other people for dressing weird and being different, which I think is so funny, to be honest. I don't think alternative people should be making fun of alternative people. I think, again, that defeats the entire purpose. I keep going on crazy tangents. What I'm trying to say is you don't need all the fresh new hip clothes to look alternative. If anything, I truly believe it's the complete opposite. I think obviously if you want to splurge on some cool pants or some cool shoes, do it, obviously. But I think that the root of it, again, is DIY. It's thrifting, it's buying secondhand and being ethical. And personally for me, when I was finding my style, I thrifted, and I still thrift literally everything. Everything I own is thrifted or secondhand. Honestly, because I just don't like paying the new price. I rather save some money and buy it secondhand anyways. I feel like if you want to start experimenting with your style, I really suggest thrifting. You can have fun and play around and find clothes that are very, very cheap and good quality. So getting into my solutions for the problem, I'm gonna be talking more about shopping online rather than the obvious, which is just go thrift. When people talk about being alternative, they're just like thrift, 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 thrift. And I want to come at it at a different perspective because I understand that not everybody has the time to go thrift. Thrifting is very time consuming, and thrifting is definitely a privilege. Not everybody can go do it. Not every town has a thrift store, and not every town has a good thrift store. So obviously thrifting is very much of a privilege, and I want to go from the flip side of it and do online shopping. And no, I'm not going to say Depop. Everybody knows about Depop. I'm not going to be talking about Depop except for one little bit that I do have about it. If you're obviously looking for something specific, I would check out Depop and I would check out eBay. Personally, that's where I get a lot of my shoes from, is eBay and Depop, because you can find a lot of the same shoes you're looking for from Demonia and Tuck and all of that for significantly cheaper. So I definitely suggest Depop and eBay for shoes. Also, Depop does have a section. It's a $20 and under section. I really suggest checking that out if you're trying to find cheap clothes. I've seen a lot of really, really cute stuff in their $20 and under section. So if you have a little bit more money to spend, but not still a ton, I would check that out because they do have some really cute stuff. But I do understand that Depop gets insanely expensive, okay? It gets ridiculous. Personally, I would suggest checking out Mercari and other small resale sites where you can find more alternative brands for cheaper, just because it's not what it's sought out after on that particular website. But my biggest suggestion, if you want to find really, really cute clothes for very cheap, and 9 times out of 10 they're gonna be vintage, I really suggest checking out Whatnot. This is not sponsored, this is really just my opinion, okay? Whatnot is a reselling site, but it is live streamed reselling. And a lot of the times you can go in there and find people that are selling their clothes at $1, $2, $3. Not only that, but it's also a bidding site. So they will have a bunch of really cute stuff and basically you bid on it and you can get clothes for so insanely cheap, and such good clothes for very cheap. And a lot of the times the sellers will take care of shipping, and I've also seen Whatnot take care of shipping sometimes. So I really suggest checking that out. You can find so many cute alternative clothing on there for very cheap. Hey guys, I'm editing right now, but I wanted to pop in and kind of show you an example of Whatnot. So I'm gonna put it on the screen for a minute while I talk over it. So I literally just popped on Whatnot last night to kind of see what the vibes were on there. And I think I honestly opened it at the perfect moment. So I searched like Y2K to just see what shows would come up, and I found this show. And I wanted to show this one in particular because this brand, Royal Bones, is a very popular 2000s alternative brand. It's the same people that made Trip made Royal Bones. And I just wanted to show this because this sold for $10. $10. And I think the shipping was only $5. You can see it like at the bottom, but it sold for $10. And that's only because there were quite a bit of people bidding on it. I thought this was such a good deal for those. And not only that, but it also goes to show that they also have plus sizes. I know when it comes to 2000s and vintage and even alternative clothes in general, trying to find plus size options could be harder, but I saw this and I thought this was a perfect example, so I wanted to add it in. I also want to bring up something I didn't mention that I really suggest checking out is resellers, like smaller resellers on, not on Depop, but on Instagram. I'll put a few of my favorites right here. So this reseller in particular, Infy Clothing, she actually does bids on all of her pieces. So she'll do story sales and you can bid on particular items. I've gotten stuff for really cheap with her as well. Another reseller I really suggest checking out is The Label by Lex. She also has very cheap story sales. Sometimes you can even find her story sales for $5, $10, $15. I think those are always great options. And she also does bundle deals as well. So if you buy a lot from her, she will like take care of shipping or give you huge discounts, which love. Brooke is another one. She doesn't do a lot of story sales, but if you can catch her in person, her prices are so good. She has great alternative clothing for very cheap. I would definitely check out those resellers. I really suggest them. Lex and Brooke I know in person, and they're really great people, so I would check that out as well. But yeah, I love you guys. So back to the video. So honestly, that's my biggest suggestion for buying clothes secondhand. Obviously, if you have the means, go thrift. Thrifting's amazing. I feel like thrifting is probably better if you're trying to find your style, because then you can experiment more and kind of play around more with things you already have, like tangibly. But Whatnot, I do suggest if you are not able to go thrift, and maybe even if you already know your style and know what you're looking for, I would definitely check out Whatnot. I have gotten some really cute things off Whatnot for so cheap. I suggest checking it out. I will say Whatnot is a little bit harder to navigate, but personally what I suggest is looking up like dollar shows or even just like buzzwords like alternative grunge, anything like that. You will find shows dedicated to a certain aesthetic. It is so good. Please go check it out. This is not sponsored, but I feel like you should go check it out. I've seen crazy cool shit come from Whatnot, so I would check that out for sure. I think another very important thing to know and realize is there's so many things you can already do with what's in your closet and make it alternative. I think that going back to what I was talking to earlier, the cookie cutter image of what alternative should be, your immediate thought is, oh my god, I need to wear black, I need to wear crosses, and I need to wear spider webs and ghoulish stuff. I feel like you don't have to do that. Like, I really feel like there's so many things you can do with the clothes you already have in your closet, and honestly just basics in general. I feel like there's so much you can do with just a solid amount of basics, and I think it's more about what you do with it, how you wear it, and what you style with it, rather than the pieces themselves. I don't know if that makes sense, but I have a little video on it and I'll show you what I mean by that. What I do suggest is if you don't have a lot of money to spend on clothes, I would suggest getting more into accessories and trying to use the clothes you already have. And what I mean by that is like finding some good studded belts. If you need a good studded belt, I of course would look on secondhand reseller sites like eBay and stuff like that. You can probably find them for very cheap. And if you can't, I would tell you to go to Amazon, of course, if you want, but always check secondhand first. Not all of Amazon is fast fashion. Some Amazon you can find from smaller brands, which is really cool, and they're still like fairly cheap. Amazon's kind of a weird website like that where you can have like individual sellers, but I feel like a good studded belt can get you such a long way. Some nice chokers can get you a long way, and I do suggest checking eBay for that. You can find really cool jewelry for pretty cheap on eBay, so definitely check that out. Some cool scarves, which are so insanely easy to thrift, and some cool shoes. I think if you have just the accessories, you can make anything work. I truly believe that. I think it's more about your hair, makeup, and accessories than what the actual base is of your outfit. I feel like you can add anything to it to make it look alternative. I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully I explained it a little bit better when I actually show you what I'm talking about. Okay, for this portion, I'm in this kind of blank white corner to kind of show you it's not necessarily having alternative clothing that matters. I think it's more about what you do with the clothing you have. So I'm going to show you a few examples of what I'm talking about. For this little segment, I'm going to be using clothing that is very easily found at thrift stores or just very easily found secondhand items, and making an alternative outfit using the items that are pretty easy to find in thrift stores. So the first thing I will be using for this is just a very basic pair of black shorts. I feel like you can pretty much find these at any thrift store pretty much ever. And along with these, I'm also going to be using just a very basic blank cami tank top. This is nothing special. It's literally just a pink tank top. So basically what I'm trying to show you is that you can do so much with just things you already have in your closet and basics you already have in your closet. I definitely think that accessories and makeup and hair are kind of more important to an outfit if you're trying to get a certain look. I think clothes just kind of add to it. I don't think necessarily the entire outfit is what you're wearing, if that makes sense. Hair, makeup, accessories add so much to an outfit. So let me show you what I'm talking about. We're gonna put on that base of an outfit. So here's our very basic outfit with just some plain black shorts and a cami top. We're gonna make this cool. Because I have my makeup done like this and my hair done like this, I feel like I already look very alternative. But we're gonna make the outfit portray the same thing that my hair and makeup are saying. So to start off, I'm going to be adding some kind of top over this top that I'm already wearing. So I think I'm gonna go for another tank top. I have this one, which I think will be really cool. It's just a sheer tank top. But honestly, I feel like layering any tank top would be really cool. If you had this pink one and then a black tank top, layering that on top of each other, you're already giving a more dimensional look than what the base is. So here's the first layer, and it's already giving way more than it already once was, adding just one more tank top on top. I'm not stopping here. I'm also going to be adding some kind of sweater on top of this. So I chose this striped sweater, and honestly I feel like these are so easy to find at the thrift. I have found them a bunch of different times. Some are long sleeve, some are short sleeve like this, but I feel like this is such a good base already to have an alternative outfit. So now I think I'm going to add some belts, which I do think belts are very important. They can add so much to a look. So I'm going to be adding this studded belt, which I feel like is probably the most known alternative clothing piece or accessory. I feel like studded belts go with just so much. They're so insanely versatile, and they can make pretty much any outfit look alternative with a nice studded belt. So I'm not gonna stop here. I'm actually gonna be adding a scarf. And again, scarves are so insanely easy to thrift. So insanely easy. I feel like a lot of people don't look for scarves and things like that. So you can almost always find them at a thrift store for very cheap. I'm talking like $1 or less. So for this particular outfit, I'm going to be using this scarf, which I thrifted myself. And again, I think I got it for $1. Maybe. So just from the start of this outfit just being two items that are so easily found at thrift stores to what we have now, I feel like there's such a big step up, and you can definitely come across as more alternative just by adding accessories. For shoes, I'm probably going to pick something that is most easily found or is more accessible to people. And so for that, I just added black Vans. I feel like a good classic pair of black Vans will go with pretty much anything. I love mine. I actually thrifted these for $5 at Goodwill. But honestly, they're very easy to find on eBay and Depop for very cheap, probably like 20 bucks or less. They're pretty easy to find secondhand and in good condition. So yeah, we got a good pair of black Vans, and this is the final fit. And I think this is very cute. I feel like it's giving the exact vibes I want it to give. And just based off using items that are very easy accessible and easy to find, I think this is very cute and honestly very versatile. I feel like you can wear this outfit in so many different ways, with changing up the scarf, changing the belt, changing up the layering with the tank tops and the sweaters. There's so much you can do. Now for the second outfit that I wanted to show and kind of prove that you can do anything with just basic items. The first item is an item that you can find at pretty much, again, any store ever. It is just a pair of ripped skinny jeans. And honestly, if you don't have ripped skinny jeans, you can just rip them yourself. And they don't even have to be ripped. But I'm going to be using ripped skinny jeans just because they're very easy to find pretty much everywhere. Now for this outfit, I'm going to be showing you more of like unconventional thing to do, because I feel like with your clothes in your closet and things you already have, there's so many things you can do that you just haven't thought of. And so we're going to be going a little bit out of the box for this one. So for example, these skinny jeans are not outwardly alternative clothing. And I'm going to add this dress as well, because this isn't even outwardly alternative. It's just a baby doll dress. Nothing about this is screaming alternative. Neither are these pants, and that's the point. So I'm going to show you how to make this outfit alternative. So this is what it looks like on. Super cute. I love this dress so much. It's very flowy and pretty. So the first thing I'm gonna do is add this black pinstriped vest. These again are so easy to find at thrift stores. Honestly, to find these, I would just look in the business section or like business casual section of thrift stores. That's typically where you find stuff like this because it is business like workwear. But I think this adds like more of an edge to the outfit. I'm just gonna button it a little bit just to give it more shape. Okay, I just added my black Vans again. And look, I may be the wrong person to teach you how to do this because I feel like this outfit doesn't need anything else. Like, I think this is so adorable and so cute. But again, I think that just kind of goes back to my point of this is that you don't need to have black and edgy and expensive clothes to look alternative. Like, I don't think that's what it's about at all. I think there's so much you can do with just clothes you find and clothes you can find at the thrift store. It doesn't have to be black and have skulls and spider webs on it to be deemed alternative. I think there's so much you can do with basics, and I think there's so much you can do with just having really cool accessories and things to go with outfits. Rather than spending a lot of money on clothes, I feel like thrift stores, you can find unique items and one-of-a-kind items and items that you can use a lot more in your closet than just that one shirt that's just really cool that you wear every so often. I don't know if that made sense, but I feel like this kind of proved my point a little bit, that like I think you can also wear your hair and makeup as an accessory. I feel like this outfit's adorable and I don't even think it needs anything else. Like, I do feel like this comes off as alternative. And even with just mixing clothes that you typically wouldn't put together. Like, I feel like it's not typical to wear jeans and a skirt and a blazer like this. But when you put it all together, it comes across more alternative because it's not something you would usually see. And I guess that just comes back to the point of being alternative. It's just being yourself, finding a style that you like, and something that's just not done often. But yeah, so this is the outfit using basics. I hope this part of the video came across well because I'm trying to explain more of like, you don't need to go out and buy so much clothes. And honestly, I get that question a lot of where do you shop other than thrifting, where do you shop? And honestly, I don't. I only buy my clothes secondhand. And also, you need to look inwards instead of outwards. If you look in your closet and find a few pieces that you already have that you can make work, what I'm trying to say is that there's so much you can do with the clothes you already have in your closet. You don't need to go out and spend a bunch of money on clothes. DIY it, make that shit cool, have fun, layer, play around with things. Getting back to the video. So moving on to the last section of this video, section number 4, which arguably, in my opinion, is the most important part of this video, which is your attitude. Your attitude, the history, and the music. Look, I'm just gonna say it. Obviously, nothing is that deep. It's really not that deep. So I don't think anybody should be going around and, oh, you're a poser, you're this, you're that. It's not that serious, guys. Don't do that. We're all trying to figure ourselves out. You are no better for making fun of somebody else for the way they look. You are no better at all, okay? So don't do that. That's disgusting. I just think that just defeats the entire purpose of it, to be honest. I think you need to have strong values. I think you need to stand on your shit. I'm not gonna really talk about it in this video, but I really suggest just doing your research on where the subculture came from and how it became prevalent, and I think that is very important. We talked about music, but honestly, I know this is gonna be very controversial. I'm gonna piss people off when I say this. I just don't think, like, obviously I think the music is important, but I truly listen to everything. I love all kinds of music, so I'm not gonna speak about that too much, because like, honestly, it's music. Listen to what you like, you know? I don't think it's that serious, but I think at the end of the day, the points that I'm really trying to make is that you don't have to fit a mold. That's literally the point of it, is to not fit a mold. I think that everybody should be able to do what they want. I don't think that you should feel bad that you don't have the new accessories or the new whatever alternative shit is coming out. That's not the point. That's not the point. And I think that with the rise of social media, people are trying to make it the point, and it's not. It's not at all. So I hope this video inspired you to go out and have fun and be fun and do some cool shit with your style, because life is too short not to be who you want to be. Honestly, if I'm not right about something, point me out. Tell me I'm not right, because I need to hear it. And honestly, I don't want to be talking about something I don't know about. So if you don't agree with me, then let me know. Regardless, I hope this video inspired you to be who you want to be, do what you want to do. Life is too short. Be f***ing cool, okay? I love you guys. Again, if you enjoyed the video, let me know. I hope you did. I know it was a little all over the place, and I know I went on a bunch of tangents about a lot of shit. I kind of figured I would, because I don't show this side of me on TikTok, but I'm a very, very opinionated person. And when I talk about something I'm passionate about, I get very opinionated. So I'm sorry if I went on too many tangents. I hope this video made sense. But anyways, I love you guys. So if you could like, subscribe, hit the bell notification to get notified every single time I post. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.